If you're a pickleball player over 50, then let this coach, who's 55, a senior professional player and a master teaching professional, show you how to move better on the court. Let's get into it. If we haven't met before, it's a pleasure to be with you. My name is Tony Roig. I'm a full-time pickleball professional, a senior professional player, as well as a master teaching professional. Coaching pickleball is what I do. The first thing we're going to look at is ready position. What we're talking about here isn't so much your paddle, it's more about your body being in a ready position, a ready athletic position from which you can move in any direction efficiently. What we want to do here is we want to be careful not to have our weight in our heels. So we don't want to be rocking back like this with our weight in our heels. Very difficult to move around. If you want to, you can try right now. Stand up, put your weight in the heels and try and think of moving in a direction. It's very difficult to do. What you want to do is you want to have your weight forward. You want to think about it this way. Think about the balls of your feet. Easy way to do this is just a slight bend in your knees. And then the second thing is shoulders a tiny bit forward, not big forward, not hugely forward like this, just a little bit forward. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to place the weight into the balls of your feet. Once they're in the balls of your feet, A, you have a good balance there. B, you're going to be able to move in any direction. The only piece that you need now is how wide should your legs be? That's going to depend on, every player's going to be a little bit different there in terms of how wide you're going to be with your legs. Some players can have a wider stance, some players can have a narrow stance and feel balanced. What you want to do is find that width that's going to give you, okay, I feel good here, and then I'm going to bend my knees, bring my weight a little bit forward, and now I'm ready to move in any direction under balance and with efficiency. When we think about movement on the pickleball court, particularly when we're over 50, what we're trying to think about is we want to have safe and efficient movement. In this coaching lesson, I'm going to first talk about the types of movements that are making our experience on the pickleball court potentially unsafe. And then I'm going to give you some tips that'll increase the efficiency of your movement. If you put the tips in this video into practice, you will move better on the court and also more safely. Safe movement on a pickleball court begins with balance. It all starts with being balanced out on the court. What you don't want to feel is you don't want to feel like you're out of control out there, like you're going to lose your balance and potentially fall over. What we're looking for is we're looking to keep our legs under us in a way that gives us a nice base of operations from which we can then move in any direction. We're going to talk about the split step in a second, but let's first talk about types of things that can potentially take you out of balance. The first place we're going to look to make sure that we're balanced in our movement is, are we cross-stepping? Cross-stepping is when you bring your leg across like this, or the other way is like this. So anytime you're crossing one leg in front of the other, that's cross-stepping. Cross-stepping is a type of movement that is prone to imbalance because you're bringing all of your weight up on one leg and then trying to transfer it over like this to the other side with the other leg moving in front. That's a recipe for potential disaster out on the pickleball court. So the first thing you want to look at is, are you cross-stepping? Because cross-stepping is not a particularly efficient movement in pickleball, and it's a type of movement that can introduce imbalance into your movement out on the court. Another potential area of imbalance is how wide are your legs? So if your legs are really close like this, you're not going to have a really good base of operations from which to move. Likewise, if your legs are too far apart, you're likely not going to have a good base of operations from which to move without having to get out of it and having a potential imbalance in that moment. What we want to start with is looking at our legs too close so that we don't really have a nice setup down here, or our legs too far apart and potentially locking us into position. In a minute, I'm going to show you how to move back safely to cover lobs, because that's a big area of imbalance in our play and the highest chance of severe injury when you play pickleball. But what I want to focus on first is another area of imbalance is when you move from one direction to another, when you're trying to switch directions without doing a split step in the middle. So say you're moving to the right and then you realize, oh, I got to move to the left, and you don't reset yourself. So you're heading over here, all your weight's in this direction, and you're instantaneously trying to move to the left. That is a recipe for falling down, because your body's just not in a good balanced position from which to come out to move in a different direction. The way you're going to solve that is with a split step. So now we have the ready position, and the ready position is a great starting place for movement when we're static. So we're up here at the non-volley zone. We're waiting for something to happen. We're in a good ready position. Take a couple lateral steps. We get into a ready position again. We're good to go. What we need to add to it now is a move or a break in movement that we can use whenever we're heading in one direction and we need to reset ourselves either to wait for the shot or move in a different direction. The move we're going to use here is the split step. Now we're going to modify the split step a little bit, because you may have seen videos out there or heard about this kind of move where you basically come in forward and then you jump up and you get down like this. That is a very exaggerated split step that young tennis players are more than welcome to keep using in their play. We are not going to be doing that kind of split step, particularly not when we're 50 plus. What we're going to be doing is we're just going to basically be resetting. So if I'm heading in a forward direction and I need to split step, I'm going to just calmly get into a ready position. This is my split step. Now I'm ready to move laterally. I can move back in this direction. I can open the door to move back, which you'll learn about in a second. Any movement that I need to make, I'll make from the split step. The key is that I'm balancing before I move again. Let me give you the example I did earlier. I'm moving right and I have to move left. So I'm moving to the right and now I go, oh, the ball's going there. Instead of just switching my weight over there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the right, I'm going to split step, and then I'm going to move to the left to get the ball. So the split step is what gives me kind of a junction between moving in one direction and then another. All right, let me show you how to avoid the most dangerous aspect of our sport, and that has to do when you're moving back to cover a lob. What happens most often when I watch rec players trying to cover lobs is they move to cover a lob in a backward direction. What I mean by that is they're moving like this to cover the lob, and usually, because the ball's up above their head, they're usually looking up like this to try and cover that lob. That is, again, the most dangerous thing that we do on the pickleball court, because we have no way of stopping ourselves if we fall, and it's super imbalanced, right? Don't try this, but basically you're heading in a backward direction. Your weight is over your heels, and if you get caught or if you misstep a little bit, you can fall backward, potentially injuring an arm, injuring your back, or worse yet, hitting your head hard on the court. And it can be a very devastating injury. So what we want to do is, instead of moving in a backward direction to try and cover a lob, is we want to move either in a lateral motion or in a forward motion toward the back of the court. The first step in doing this is to open the door. And now I'm going to show you how to open the door both left-handed as well as right-handed. Since the majority of you watching this are probably right-handed, I'm going to start right-handed. What we recommend is that you learn how to open the door first with your dominant hand back. What you're going to do is you're going to pivot on your left foot and you're going to bring your right leg back like this. So you're up here in your ready position. You see a lob start to go over your head. You pivot on your left foot and you bring your right leg back like this. For a left-handed player, it's identical, just the opposite way. I'm going to pivot now on my right leg and bring my left leg behind me like this. Once I do this, now I'm in a lateral position to the baseline and the court. And so now what I can do is I can move laterally like this to cover a mid-range lob and hit it out of the air. Or I can, we call close the door. So I'm going to open the door and I'm going to pivot on the other leg, on my left leg, to go backward in a forward direction. If I was right-handed, I will open the door this way, so pivoting on my left leg, and then I'll pivot on my right leg to close the door so that I can head forward back to get the lob. Add these tips into your movement and you'll move safer and more efficiently. And when you're ready to really up your game, join us inside the Better Pickleball Academy, designed specifically for 50+ players. I'll put a code down here that'll get you a discount at checkout. I hope to see you inside the academy, and in any event, inside our next lesson. Be well.